Like I'll show you an example of one of her best covers. Um, this is Jo Chen. She does stuff for Joss Whedon. But anyway, this.
That's Battlestar. Joss Whedon?
No, not Battlestar. Buffy.
Oh, Buffy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. But anyway, this image that she did, ordinary brush tool, smudge tool, regular round brush, no custom shape.
Just change the pixel size, right?
Just change pixel size. Yeah. No, she did it all like 300 pixels wide. Nice. And another thing to keep in mind is dot gauge. What you see on screen is not going to be what you get on paper. What's going to happen is this a phenomenon known as plugging, which is all the dots are little dots that sit on the paper. And what will happen is just like a Sharpie magic marker, it will bleed into the paper a little bit. So every half-tone dot will get a little bigger than originally intended. So all your artwork in general will always tend to get darker. So just make sure before you get into producing a lot of stuff, print maybe a test page if you can, and see how it looks on paper, and then adjust accordingly. And let's see. Two best file formats to use for pixel images from Photoshop, TIFF. That's what everybody uses. Make sure it's in CMYK color if you know what the core spot. And always, whenever you do your layer stuff, before you convert to CMYK, flatten it first, because layers behave completely different in CMYK color than RGB. I always work those layer effects in RGB because that's the layers in the color light universe as opposed to subtracted light, which is inks, if you've learned this in art school. So do all your layer effects in RGB, and then flatten it, and then turn it into CMYK color. And now, the thing that you guys are interested in is trying to get noticed, trying to get your comic printed. The problem with self-publishing is minimum order quantity. Whenever you have comics printed, usually most printers want you to do a minimum of about 1,000 units, and they want $3 grand from you to get it done. Now, there's a new form of printing that's coming out on the horizon called print on demand. And print on demand goes through what's called a plateless printer. So the printer does not have a plate. It's digitally done, and usually their minimum order quantity is 1. So you can have one comic book done, usually for a price of about maybe $10. And then as you start to do more, their prices drop. So if you have about 100 done, each comic might be about maybe $2. And so what happens is your minimum order quantity is very, very low. So it's if you want to just show a proof of concept to get yourself noticed, you can have it done affordably. Except the only problem is the system is completely automated. See, it's kind of like E-Trade. The reason why it's so cheap is they don't want to deal with you. Just do it through our computer system, upload it, and let our computer print it out, and we'll mail it back to you. It's very impersonal, but the advantage is it costs a lot less. And if you guys want to get access to a printer like this, write this down. It's a URL. It's kablam.com. K-A. -E-L-A-M. Yeah, it's a URL. That's all that is. KA-ELAM. Yeah. Okay. And to give me an example, okay, let's see. Here's a comic printed by DC Comics. Minimum order quantity, this one had 55,000 units printed to keep the cost down. This is a friend of mine who lives in Pittsburgh, Kansas. He wants to break into the industry. Obviously, you can tell from his artwork, he hasn't broken in yet. But you know, it's something that he's done at home. He's proud of. He was able to get this comic printed.
Portfolio building.
Yeah, portfolio building. got this done for under 10 bucks.
Wow.
1 unit. No, actually, no, I take that back. He did 2 units, one for his mom. So if you look at the print quality between something from DC Comics versus, which has a lot of money, versus this one that's, done, it's actually really, really close in print quality. And this is the company for women. And if you want to build a portfolio, get noticed, this is the way to do it. Except they do everything in TIFF, TIFF format. Okay, so that's your only catch. Usually, if you go to bigger professional printers, usually they want stuff in PDF. And the reason is PDF allows for PostScript for more complicated illustrated graphics. But if you're going the automated route to TIFF, usually you can import PDF into Photoshop, get that flattened into a TIFF, and get it done this way. So, any other questions you have as well? Any writing questions? So they were all, go ahead.
I'm curious, how do you lay out your scripts for Comic?
Lay out my scripts. Okay, I'll show you a script. And this is not really the way scripts are done the Hollywood way. If you see those Hollywood script books, they do it in a very specific method because they have to shoot it for shooting scripts. They want each page to approximate 1 minute. That's why they carefully laid everything out. In comics, it's a whole different ballgame, and I'll show you. This is all right, this is a script. Yeah. And, all right, the reason why there's different colors is different revisions. It was rewritten several times. And if you work with an editor, you got to accept this. It's going to be rewritten many times. All right, when we lay out our scripts, we have a page, and then we define each panel. So each panel is defined. And then, not only do we define panels, we also define word balloons. Word balloon 1, word balloon 2, word balloon 3, word balloon 4. And you have to be very clean and concise with everything. When you give it to another artist, they are not going to know what's in your head. They are not a mind reader, they don't have a crystal ball. So when we see a flashback sequence of a bright dragon-like creature. If you don't say bright dragon-like creature and he draws you a turtle-like creature, you have no recourse. That was your fault. Be as detailed as possible in describing each panel, and then have every word balloon individually broken down. Don't assume they're going to know how to break down the word balloons. Don't assume they know where every piece of dialogue came from. Make sure each dialogue piece is associated with a person. Also, if someone is talking off panel, specify whether the balloon has no tail, or else the letterer, who's another person down the line in the production pipeline, will go, I got a balloon and I don't know who to stick it to, and they're going to stick it to the wrong person. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how the panels are. In fact, this one gives you an idea. If a set of panels is inset inside another bigger panel, sometimes you see this in layouts. Specify inset panel, specify what type of panel do you want. Whether you want a splash panel, whether you want a full bleed, make sure it's all in there in your script. Make it as equal as possible. So hopefully that gives you an idea of scripts in terms of structuring it. And this is mainly because unless you're a writer artist and you're all going to do it yourself, you have to assume that there's going to be 10 other people working on this, who are not you, who have to know exactly what you want. So, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Did you sweat blood and tears to learn this form, or did you have to actually do a class?
No, we figured this out on the fly. We had a lot of bad scripts turned in, and people had no idea what was going on. Like I said, word balloons going all over the place. Nobody knew. Artists misinterpreting scenes completely. This is just something that there's really no manual for that was essentially picked up. Top Cop did this out, and they put a couple of sample scripts on their website. But each studio has its own house style. It's slightly different. Some studios emphasize scripts a little bit more. Some studios emphasize scripts a little bit less than probably really are. And but basically that will give you a rough idea.